count us off. Oh, one last thing I want to mention. As best you can, try not to like hit the table because that like picks up on the mic. If you same with water bottles, like when you put it down, it's like
no jingling your ice over there.
So try to be gentle with that stuff. Same with if you like clap or like do this, like that'll all get picked up on the mic.
You don't smack the mic like I have.
Yeah, I've also smacked the mic on my end, so it's not the end of the world. It's just it's a little easier on the editing side for me. I don't have to yell that out. Okay, so count us down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another installment of That Science and Nature Show. I am your host, Jeremy Howard, and joining me this time, my partner in crime and adventure of the Grand Line, Kiley Chernecki.
Hello, hello. Also, it's Dr. Jeremy Howard.
Oh, yes. We'll cycle back to that in a second. Also joining me, the social butterfly, Raj Prasai.
Again, social butterfly, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you for having me, man, again.
And newcomer to the podcast, Casey Ernest. Casey, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited for my first podcast episode.
Yes, we're delighted to have you. So, Casey, for the listeners, who are you here at UMSL?
So I'm a third-year PhD student. I'm in Mickey Tobler's lab, and I do a lot of conservation research. So I do a lot of research using genetics tools and ecology tools for desert fishes, because they're a very imperiled group of animals. So, yeah.
Nice. And you are joining this lovely panel because we are doing Stories from the Field Part 4. Yay! This is the end of the season. It's kind of become a That Science and Nature Show tradition where we just do this fun, like, end of the summer episode where we talk about fun, silly things that happen to field. But back to what Kiley mentioned earlier, I did defend my dissertation last Thursday. We're recording this on Tuesday the following week, the 4th of August, and I was successful. I passed. I was like, yeah, I failed. We'll just count it. Like, sweep it under the rug.
Sweep it under the rug. Don't worry about it.
Yes, but I'm unofficially Dr. Howard. I still have some rewrites to do, as many PhDs do after they defend. So I will still kind of loosely be here in the fall. That's a whole other can of worms, but I will officially be Dr. Howard in December, but unofficially I'm Dr. Howard.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But
own it.
Yeah.
And you did really well.
Thank you. I was very nervous, and you probably noticed.
No.
It was good.
I also choked up a little bit at the end, more than I thought I was going to.
Okay, that I did notice, and you made me cry,
Aww.
which was very rude. I did not expect to cry in your dissertation.
Everybody knows.
Yeah. Oh, great. Don't worry, nobody knows. Actually, everybody knows. But I don't know. It just kind of hits you like it's like been several years, and you did all these things with people, and you're standing up there, and it just kind of all comes together, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, and you get a little emotional.
It was very sweet.
I appreciate that.
Even my wife knows, my friends know. Jeremy almost cried.
Yeah, we're all whispering about it.
They were not, but I went home and I'm like,
you told them. Well, the graduate students and, like I said, my village, as I talked in the talk, meant a lot to me, so I wanted to share all that. So I was happy you all came, so I appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I don't have to talk as much now because I defended, and this episode is not really about me. It's about Kiley, Casey, and Raj because, like I mentioned, we're going to do Stories from the Field. We're going to go round robin, and they're going to share their exciting, harrowing, funny tales, things that happen to the field. They've given me all their stories with a nice little title, and I will tee them up. What I ask before you dive into the story for the listeners, if you can kind of set the stage. So, like, where are you in your careers as undergrads, as, masters? Is this just, like, field work? Is this, what country are we in? Kind of, like, how old are you at this point? Kind of give, like, a little, like, gauge of, like, where you are. It helps with, like, experience and, like, because it's, like, your story as an undergrad might be very different than your story as, a PhD student, for example. So we will dive right in. Kiley, you were first.
Oh, good.
And you gave me a really great story title called The Great Flood, which sounds very biblical, and I'm very intrigued to hear more.
I don't know if it's biblical, but thank you. I worked really hard on my titles. So let me set the stage. My second tech job out of undergrad was in the Galapagos Islands, which was pretty great. So this would have been early 2018. I cannot tell you how old I was.
That's fine.
I barely know how old I am
The year
now.
works enough.
Yeah. All right. We were there like February through May-ish. I was there to do research on Galapagos finches, specifically on a nest parasite that's been introduced there, that the larvae are parasitic and they drink the blood of the nestlings basically when they're in the nest. So, and we were doing kind of this dual setup of like urbanized finches, so right in the port towns. We were on the island of San Cristobal, which has a pretty decent like sized port area. And then there was another kind of site out of town. So a lot of it was like walking around, nest searching, or looking for birds carrying nesting materials, whatever. So like the second day that we're there, me and one of the other techs and the PhD student that we were working under go out to the remote site, and we're gonna go out and search for nests for the first time ever. And right before, the day before, it had rained a bunch. So we were like, okay, that's fine. It's supposed to be the wet season, like whatever. So we get out there, we're walking down this trail, and we have to take a taxi. So there's no like rent a car or whatever. So you have to take a taxi. It's like a couple hours out of town, and then the taxi drops you off, and then you set a time of like, I'm gonna be here for X number of hours, come pick me up when we're done. So you're basically stuck there. So we get there, we're walking down the path, and then all of a sudden we realize the entire site is flooded. And not just like, oh, you know, up to your ankles. No, like up to your knees flooded. We can't see the trail. You can see these giant opuntia cactuses, which is what the birds nest in. So they're like, think like saguaro kind of, but they look like prickly pear. And that's it.
Oh.
But we're like, oh, okay, we're stuck here for like 3 hours because the taxi's not coming back. There's no cell service or anything to call said taxi back. So we might as well just search for birds. So we spent the next 3 hours like just sloshing through knee-high water over volcanic rock and stuff, looking for birds carrying nesting materials, birds making nests, etc. So yeah, it was quite the shocker.
How bad?
Not ever having been to the Galapagos, not ever having worked with birds prior to this, and not really knowing anything like what to expect. And then it didn't rain the entire rest of the time we were there, so which was probably a good thing since the site was obviously prone to flooding.
Nice. So
Yeah.
did you find any birds?
Yeah, we ended up having I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 nests out that way. Now, I don't know how many we found that day. It was a lot of just like trying not to fall face first into the
How bad?
giant pit of water. But yeah, it really wasn't that bad. It was kind of one of those days that like by the end of it, you're just like delirious because you've been sloshing through murky water all day and in the heat. So.
How was the whole field season for the project? Did you eventually, was it successful?
Yeah, it was
And
pretty
all that?
good. Yeah, I mean, we found lots of birds,
Okay.
lots of nests, and the majority of the ones in town were parasitized. So that was good for the project. Yeah, it was a really interesting project overall. There were quite a lot of crazy things that happened. It was like the first year of that project, so it was a lot of trial and error in
Right.
general. So we were kind of learning as we went, and then some other crazy stuff ended up happening. And then you're also on an island, so that's like a whole other level of, you know, insanity. But yes, it was a very good project.
Was the taxi driver surprised when you?
When we came
Well,
back
yeah, when
soaking
he like
wet.
came to pick him, he was covered in water.
Yeah, kind of. He was very nice. He was like our taxi driver for the entire time we were there. So he kind of knew what we were doing and knew that we probably would show up most of the time looking like crazy people, you know, like sweaty and dirty and whatever. But yeah, he was. We told him, he was like, oh yeah, that area does get pretty wet when it rains. And we were like,
Thanks
oh,
for the
I
heads up.
didn't know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. How did you get that gig in the first place? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so
Because the Galapagos is a pretty special place to go. I have not yet been.
it
but-
was incredibly special. Yeah, it was one of the hardest like field work jobs I've ever had.
Okay.
I won't lie. Like it was the fieldwork job that inevitably made me want to find something that wasn't field tech work. But it was amazing to be there. I got it because the PI on the project, somebody that I had worked with in my undergrad, like another student, knew her through some other project and like knew of the position opening, and she was like, oh, you should apply to this because you're like interested. I was recreationally interested in birds. Like I was a big birder when I lived in Florida, and just prior to that I had been spending 3 months doing remote field work, my first field work job in the Yukon. of Canada. So she was like, oh, you should apply, you know, like you might be a good fit. And then because I'd done remote work before, she was like, yeah, you can do it. You don't need any prior like netting experience or anything. So yeah, just kind of one of those lucky connections.
All right. Very good. All right, Casey, you're next up, and your first story is called The Hike to Devil's Ink Pot. Take it away.
Yeah, it's actually sort of like a similar, like water-related
love it.
hiking story, which is awesome. So I guess I'll set the stage first. I do a lot of my field work in Roswell, New Mexico at a protected refuge called Bitter Lake National Wildlife Refuge, because the endangered species that I study is endemic to that refuge. It means it only lives there. And even more interestingly, this species is stuck essentially in spring-fed sinkholes. And often when we're doing field work out there, which has just been throughout my PhD, so I've only been going there for about 2.5 years, but oftentimes you can only see the sinkholes like when you're right on top of them, which sort of begs the question of like, how did they find these in the first place? But they're super easy to climb into. They're pretty soft, except for Devil's Ink Pot, which is on a different part of the refuge and doesn't have the endangered species. But we wanted to make sure that it didn't have the endangered species. So we drove through the gates, we got everything unlocked, and they're like, oh, it's going to be like a really short half-mile hike. I was like, great, this is easy peasy. This wasn't that bad. We were climbing through like mesquite and like agave, so those are really like, you know, classically pointy desert plants. So getting a little scratched up, and we're carrying like buckets, and we're carrying like all this rope. Because once we get to the top of Devil's Ink Pot, you look down and the water is like 60 meters below where you're standing. So the normal traps that we have weren't gonna work. So we tied this like heavy duty rock climbing rope to each of our little traps and like chucked them off this ledge. And I'm not like the most field hardy person. Like I wouldn't quite do remote field work. But I felt super confident, and like my ego got pretty boosted because all the guys that I was with were like standing off away from the edge, like I don't want to get close to the edge, and I was like, yeah, I'll go stand on the edge and like throw all the ropes over. So that was pretty cool. So we let the trap set overnight, and then overnight it rained, and the path that we had driven on the first day was completely washed out. So instead of it being a half-mile hike back, it was a 3-mile hike there and a 3-mile hike back. And the rain had created this really soft mud, and so it wasn't just a 3-mile hike, it was like a slipping and sliding and whatever. Yeah, and we still had to get up to the top and pull the traps and do all the whatever. But yeah, it was like first thing in the morning. I was like, oh great. A 6-mile hike in the mud. But it was super beautiful. I mean, the Devil's Ink Pot is like, it's super infamous in the desert fish world, and it's super beautiful, and we got everything we needed to, and because of all the rain, we saw a bunch of spadefoot toads, which was super awesome. But yeah, it was a little bit unexpected and a little bit rough when I saw the rain. I was like, oh god, okay. But yeah.
So quick question, these sinkholes, like you'll see them coming. You can't just like step in like it's not quicksand, you just step and fall into them, right?
Yeah, they're open-faced.
Okay.
So like we don't really know how they formed, but the general consensus is something like the water table has eroded the it's like gypsum substrate, so it's like really salty, and it just erodes, and over time just sort of like collapses in on itself and fills with water. So yeah, they can vary in size. Some of them are really, really small, but some of them, like Devil's Ink Pot, are really big. But yeah, you'll definitely see them.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So you did confirm that the fish then wasn't in Devil's Ink Pot, or?
Yeah, we confirmed that because there was like an old paper that said that they'd been translocated there, and we wanted to make sure that they weren't there. And we never trapped any. We like even had to, because they're like surface feeders, we even put like pool noodles on the top of the trap so that they would sit right on the surface, so that we like could maximize our chance of catching them. And yeah, we didn't get any. So. But.
I guess good, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's endangered, so like the more places it is like kind of better, because then you have like more options for whatever the genetically diverse population is that you can use for conservation, but I'm kind of glad we don't have to
You
make
don't
that
have to go
trip
back, yeah.
back up. I'm glad we can cross that one off the list,
Right.
personally. But
Nice. All right, Raj, your first story is titled Biology Does Not Follow Plans, Early Realization. Take it away.
Yeah. First thing is biology wasn't a plan for me. I did not even take biology in my high school. I could choose physics, chemistry, biology, maths, environmental management, things like that. I did not choose biology. I did not take biology in high school, which later became difficult because I had to then fill in. I had to study more, right? But then I figured out I was not going to do any mechanical engineering. So,
Okay.
But after my undergraduate, I'm 34 right now. I'm a fifth year PhD student. So I got this first internship after my undergrad, which was at around 23 years old, and in this organization called Friends of Nature. And in the interview, they asked me, if we tell you to go to the field tomorrow, will you go? I'm like, I need the internship. So yeah, 100%.
Of course I will.
I'm like, yes, 100%. So that was with a bat ecologist, and that's how I got into bats. But regarding biology doesn't go according to plans is, I was this person, like if I have a fixed plan, let's say I'm going to be in the field for 11 days. If it goes beyond that, I'm like, okay, this is not going according to plan. So I'm like, I was not very flexible at that time. So starting field works were very difficult for me because it would always like, okay, next 2 days, next 2 days, next 2 days. I'm like, I did not bring enough food. I did not plan for this, and so grumpy on that. And I have plans back in the city, things like that. Because I was just starting to be in the field. But I also realized that makes you very resilient. That makes you become a little broad-minded, become flexible, become easygoing later in life. But it was very difficult when I started in the field. So that was like, it doesn't go according to plan. And I'll tell you like a few shorter clips of why it does not go according to plan and why it has not gone for me. The first one is we were on a 23-day camping trip. 5 people with all our backpacks and 40 lbs or 50 lbs in the back. And 5 of us got lost in the forest. And we just wandered around for, 2 hours or so. And it was not even a trail, it was not even a path. And we were all helping each other out, like with our hands and everything. And there was a point where we were going sideways from a cliff, which was about 85 degrees or so. So just like a deer in the cliff or something, and we were just holding on to the grass. I was so scared, and I got bruises also. Even we had the GPS coordinate of the camera trap because we were on a camera trap field project, fetching all these camera traps from the forest. We had the GPS coordinate of the trap, and he had a compass and the coordinates, so we were just trying to figure out the way. It took us a lot of time to figure that out. 5 adult people not being able to navigate through a forest. It doesn't go according to plan. The next one is on the first field trip I went to, things could have gone wrong. We were 3 adult male. Apparently there was a robbery a few days ago, like a couple of robberies in the village.
Oh.
So we were out there walking around surveying for this butter plant where Rauceras and Eonycteris, nectar bats and fruit bats come in to feed from the nectar and fruits. We were surveying around. Somebody who was very drunk just started saying, thief, thief, thief. I don't know if it was our attire. I had like long beards and such. We looked like robbers or something. I'm not sure. We had things on with us, like a big camera. And that night, we came back and slept in our lodge. But that night, apparently the whole village was searching for robbers with their machete, with different kind of tools that they were trying to find people. And the next morning, we got up and we went around surveying again, and we went to a house where we were invited for a lemon tea. And they were like, this happened in the night. People were searching for 3 people. And apparently those 3 people were us.
Oh.
We could have landed in a big trouble, or I would not be doing this podcast today. It could have been bad.
They apparently weren't searching very well if they didn't just find you sleeping.
We went to somebody's house, a local people's house, and slept. So, like a community housing. So they were searching all around the forest and ditches and everything. They did not go to somebody's house.
Okay.
Yeah, that could have been bad. Next one is how things turn bad so quickly. we were hiking on top of a mountain, not like snowy mountain, but like very beautiful landscape, like what you see in Windows computer, right? We were enjoying that for an hour, taking pictures, such a beautiful time, and all of a sudden in the mountain, do not trust the weather because it changes so fast. All of a sudden it starts pouring down, and the trail is very slippery. It's not paved or anything like that, and our boots did not hold because it would be filled with mud. Now I had to take off my boots. It was super cold, and the grass and twigs were on the trail, and it was hurting my feet, so we had to walk that for about 4 hours or so.
Wow.
Down barefoot in that. So things do not go as planned.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But that kind of sets up Kiley nicely, because sometimes when things don't go as planned, you have to pivot. And Kiley's second story is called The Power of the Pivot.
The power of the pivot. Yeah, you really have to be able to pivot in field work. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It makes you a very like flexible, easygoing person.
Actually, maybe for the listeners, can you talk about what a pivot is, like how that would work in field work?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just like having a plan for, we're going to do this, you know, tomorrow. This is our plan for the day. We're going to get up at this time. We're going to go out and survey these sites, and we're going to, you know, look for X, Y, and Z, or get this amount of work done. And then you wake up and there's like a thunderstorm, or you know, severe weather, or smoke in the case of my story. And then you can't. And so you have to say, like, well, what can I do instead? What kind of work can we do? What's, you know, is there work we can do inside? Is there work that's close by? So if we need to get back to the car, back to shelter, like, we can do that. So that would be, you know, pivoting in field work, or one example.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's other factors. So for us, actually, this comes from the very most recent field work I just got back from.
Okay.
So every summer for the last 4 years, I've gone to do research with Dr. LaMontagne, and she's got sites up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and we basically go and we take a bunch of information, like deep diameter at breast height and cone counts on all the trees that we have tagged up there, because we're interested in conifer reproduction. And so we were up in, and we were gone for like 3 weeks. So usually one of those weeks we're up in the UP. So we're up in the UP, Upper Peninsula, and it's very remote. It's probably one of our most remote sites, which means that we don't have any service, but we do have Wi-Fi, like internet, at the place where we stay. So it's usually checking weather in the morning, checking things like that, and then going out for the day and hoping that the weather holds, essentially, because we won't know unless we come back. And a lot of the sites are like a 45-minute drive away from where we stay, because it's a fairly large property. So the first day we're going to get there, we're driving from Wisconsin, our site's in Wisconsin, and we know it's going to be a heat dome. So it's going to be extremely hot, like crazy hot for the UP, which is very unusual. So the first day we get in, we're like, all right, it'll be a half day of driving. We're going to spend the afternoon in town. The nearest like large town is Marquette, and it's still about an hour away. So we're like, we'll have a nice dinner, we'll just hang out, we'll get some groceries, and then we'll go. And then the next day, we'll start real early, we'll do one site in the morning, and then we'll just kind of take a half day, because it's going to be hot. These houses like don't have air conditioning.
Oof.
You have to open the windows in the evening and just hope for the best, basically. So that's what we did. You know, we had like a nice half day, we get there, and we start early the next day, we get one site done, and we're thinking, well, we have a week here, we can take it slow until the heat goes away, and then, you know, we'll have plenty of time to get everything else done. So that all happens. The next day is supposed to be, like that evening, the heat dome's supposed to end. Or maybe it was the next day. But anyway, we wake up the next day and it's still kind of hot, but not as bad. So we go out to do sites and we think, it's kind of hazy. Like, and the sun looks really weird. That's bizarre. So we finish a site and we decide, we're just going to toss on like some N95 or KN95 masks, which we usually have in the vehicle. And we do a site, whatever, and it seems like it's getting worse as the day goes on. So we get back to where we're staying, the house, and we check the news, and it's like, oh yeah, there's severe wildfires in Thunder Bay, Ontario, which happens to be like right across the border from where we are, and also in the border waters or boundary waters in Minnesota. And then we realized that the smoke is only going to get worse, and like much worse. So now the heat is finally gone and the smoke has rolled in. And we're like, okay, we have things to do, but if the air quality, so I think when we checked it that afternoon, the air quality was like 200 and something, which is pretty high. We're like, if the air quality, that was like unhealthy levels. If the air quality gets into dangerous levels, we can't go out. There's just no way. So we wake up the next morning, and sure enough, the air quality is at like 600 and something, which is very dangerous.
Yikes.
So, okay, now we're not doing any field work today. We have to stay inside with all the doors and the windows shut. Thank goodness it's not super hot anymore. And just make the most of the day. And so that's what we did. It was like living in a dystopian novel. We kept joking that we were like explorers on a different planet, and the atmosphere outside was like dangerous to us. And thankfully Jolene had some N95 masks in her bag that she used for travel, because it was so bad. And it was like anytime we had to go out to get something from the car, like, oh, I need the data sheets or I need the what, is like put on your N95 mask before you go outside, and the car is like right there.
Right. Yeah.
So it was very weird, very dystopian. And then the next day, the air quality thankfully got just down to, like unhealthy levels again. Yay! So we went out with N95s, but the rest of the like 2 days of work that we had, we were wearing masks, which was super different from normal. I mean, we haven't had to wear masks outside since COVID, basically. And then, we just kind of worked around when the smoke was going to be bad. And then on the last day we were supposed to be there was severe weather predicted, so the smoke was finally going away. But then we were supposed to have hail and potentially tornadoes. And we were like, what the heck? Are we back in St. Louis? So we had to work. We got rained out of a site. But anyway, ultimately we got all our sites done. But it was a lot of like, wake up in the morning, see what's going on, and determine like last minute what we're doing, where we're going, what sites can we get to, and a lot of pivot.
Yeah. So when you were stuck in the cabin, did you just play board games, or did you have other things to do?
So I did a lot of data entry. And Shelby, our postdoc, who was also there, had a bunch of stuff to work on. Jolene had a bunch of stuff to work on. So we did about like 3/4 day worth of work, and then Shelby and I binge watched the Pride and Prejudice show from the 1990s.
Nice.
So very productive.
You gotta keep saying somehow.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness, because this place only used to have satellite internet, and you were not allowed to stream anything. So it probably would have been card games and puzzles potentially if we were able to find any. But now they have fiber, so.
Right.
They're into the 21st century.
Just a reminder, when the internet goes away, how quickly things can change.
Oh,
we rely on it for so much.
We were playing I Spy for a little while, so it was.
Were your families like blowing up your phone, like, you're in the path of the wildfire, when are you coming home?
Yes, several people messaged me and were like, are you okay? Like the wildfire's up there, are you okay? It's like, yeah, we're fine. It's just really smoky. Yeah, we're stuck inside, basically,
Casey, on to your second story called The Streamside Barbecue in Brazil, which sounds like a good time.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. It was actually almost exactly a year ago that me and Mickey Tobler, my advisor, and then another lab mate, Soren Johnson, who I think's been on the podcast before, we were in Brazil for 2 weeks, like 3 hours outside of Brasilia, doing some cave research with a collaborator that Mickey has down there. And so when you do cave research, it's often best practice to also have like a surface population to make comparisons to. And so we had collected all of the cave specimens that we needed at that location. And so this was the day that we needed to do the surface stuff. But everything in Brazil and most of South America, honestly, is on private property. And so you need permission from the landowners and often their guidance to find the sites that you need, which was the case. So we had this lovely guide who was a cattle farmer that just happened to have the streams in his backyard. And when I say backyard, it was like miles and miles of land, but it was his backyard, it was his property. And so he took the day, we paid him, but he took the day to show us all these streams and stuff, and we were collecting all these fish, we had all these fish with us, and we were hiking back, and he disappeared. I was like, where is the guide? I've got all these fish in my backpack, everybody has fish in their backpack, where'd he go? I don't know where to get back. And then I like turned a corner and climbed under a fence, and he had a big stick of wood. Like, I don't know what the tree was or whatever, but he had this giant piece of wood that he was carving with a little knife into like a spit, like with a point. And he had a satchel on that he'd had all day. So we had like these big hiking backpacks, and he had this like canvas satchel. It's like, okay, we look like total gringos, whatever. But he had this satchel, and out of his little satchel, he pulls raw beef. So not only had he taken his day to like show us around his land, but he had actually like given us one of his cattle, which was super, super nice. But yeah, so he like took all this beef and like put it on this spit and roasted it over a fire at this like little stream, whatever. It was super beautiful. But like I said, I'm super gringo, and I was like, oh, we have like a bunch of chemicals on our beef. How do I know this is like the safe beef? And I don't speak Portuguese, he doesn't speak English, so I'm looking at him and I'm like pointing at the beef, and I'm like, I'm gonna throw up, like trying to make motions, like, am I gonna get sick if I eat this? Is it good to eat? He's like, yeah, it's good to eat. So I like cut some off, and it was really good, and I enjoyed it. And then he cut me another piece, and it fell into the coals, and he was like, oh. He's like obviously like just like signing and like pointing. There's no communication other than that. But he's like, give that piece to her. She likes them really well done. It's not well done. It's raw. It's covered in charcoal and soot. I was like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. And he was like, oh, it's dirty. I'll go wash it in the stream. So then he goes, dunks the piece of meat in the stream, and is like washing it off. So I've got this like charcoal covered with this like stream water that I was already kind of wary about eating, but I didn't want to be rude, so I did eat it. I was fine, but it was like a very odd experience, but it was super gracious, and he was super nice. But yeah, I was like, okay, streamside beef. Here we go.
Nice. Well, I'm glad it turned out well and you didn't get sick, because that would have been a bad turn for the worse. Like, oh yeah, they got food poisoning. Like,
yeah, that would have been really bad.
All right, Raj, your next story is living in the rainforest and encompasses Costa Rica, Ecuador, and Colombia. Go ahead.
Yeah. So all the stories that I said, the first stories were from Nepal when I started my fieldworks earlier. But for my PhD program, I got a chance to go to Latin America to do my field works. And the first one was Costa Rica for the Organization for Tropical Studies field project. And of course, no mucho español either. And it was new, different, but it was beautiful, beautiful. In the station called La Selva, there were so many animals, and so many of them, like from ants to bees to different kind of wasps to many iguanas or caimans and I could take a lot of pictures in there. And of course, this was a 40-day trip, which was the longest that I had ever done in a fieldwork. The previous one was 30 days. But this field course set me up for a scientific research career, because we're doing back-to-back projects, and one student did about 6 projects in a group or an individual. No, it was very amazing, beautiful place, very humid in La Selva. From humid to we went to a dry forest, Palo Verde, which was very dry, so many mosquitoes and insects and such. So different kind of experience in such a small landscape, and this was beautiful. And this was followed by a 3-month-long fieldwork now. It's like from 40 days to 3 months in Ecuador. And this was in middle of nowhere in a research station. Just forest all over, but this small research station in the middle. And I'll just tell you one story on I work with bats, and we catch bats in the night. And what we don't just catch bats sometimes, we catch other things as well. But vampire bats are a thing in Latin America. If you catch, everybody wants to catch a vampire bat and see, because it is the largest bat. It's the largest bat in the North American continent. in the American continent overall, and it's a carnivorous bat. It's big, and this one time we caught a vampire bat in the net, and Nathan and I are there. Nathan is my advisor, and he's like, "Oh, vampire bat." And he's like, he doesn't know what to do because he's never caught a vampire bat. And the bat is so big, he doesn't know what to do with that. I'm like, oh, that's a vampire bat. Why is it so big? And he's like, oh, it's gonna fly away because it was slightly entangled in the net. And I'm like, oh, so we gotta catch him. And I rolled the net to keep it there so that we could catch them. I didn't know he was anxious as well. But then, oh, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, I turn it over to let it go. I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to do that either. But it flew away. So we were like, we don't know if we got lucky or we got unfortunate because we could not catch the vampire bat, or we're also lucky because we didn't have to deal with it, you know. And the other time we caught an owl in Colombia, which was 2 months of field work, followed after Ecuador, and we caught an owl over there. And I didn't know what to do with that either because I never caught such a big animal in the net before. I really tried, but it was slightly entangled, so I had to cut through the net a little bit to let it go. Yeah. Crazy. A few crazy stories out of the many in the rainforest, but beautiful, beautiful. That is why I'm like, we have to preserve this. We have to preserve the forest because it is simply beautiful and they serve a lot to the planet. Many different things, yeah.
Yeah, Costa Rica is like on my bucket. Like I need to go there. I need to go to the Galapagos. There's a lot of like, just one day I'll be there.
Yeah, get down below the equator.
Yes. I mean, I did go to Australia, so I guess it's technically below the equator.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't die by a shark or a spider or whatever people say that happens in Australia. It's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Everything trying to kill you.
Yeah. I got a lot of those memes sent to me when I went there. All right. Kiley, your last story is called I'm Not Feline So Good About This. And I appreciate a good pun, so I like it.
I worked really hard on that one. This is my favorite story, which is why I saved it for last. But it's actually from my very first field tech job in the Yukon, Canada, the one I mentioned before. So I did some work in undergrad. I also did like a study abroad sort of trip in Costa Rica. But this was like my first real tech job. I was fresh out of undergrad, so 2017, and I got hired to be the tech of a PhD student who was doing this research on red squirrels in the Yukon, Canada. And so this is a long-term research project that's been going on. I think at the time it was like 30 years, so wow. Now it's probably, I don't know, 40, 50, something like that. And they have these pretty large grids where they monitor squirrel populations as well as white spruce masting because that's the main food source for the squirrels, and they live in this teeny tiny little, I hesitate to call it a village. It is a collection of plywood shacks in the middle of the woods. It is extremely remote. It's the most remote work I've ever done. And it's just along the Alaska Highway. So there's really like cars sometimes come by, but I mean, you're like in the wilderness. So essentially my day looked like getting up early, going out, setting humane traps for squirrels, and you knew where to trap them because they're larder hoarders, which means they cache or store all their cones or food in like one centralized location called a midden. And it's usually at the base of like a single tree, and then they have these larger territories that they defend, but you can like almost always trap them on their midden because they're around. So we go through, and then like once you get a squirrel in a trap, you're taking things like a small skin sample for DNA, a fecal sample, you're checking to gender them if they're not tagged already, and then you're adding tags or you're reading tags or whatever. So that usually means getting them out of the trap into these handmade little bags that have like special netting so you can kind of get the ears out and read the tags and stuff like that. And that's all done while sitting on the forest floor, usually not standing. It's much easier to handle your squirrel on the floor. So I've set a bunch of traps, I'm going through, I'm checking them, I get a squirrel, I'm on the floor, like sitting on my feet, handling this squirrel. And I look up, and walking right at me with no intention of slowing down at a very steady pace is a lynx. And for the people listening that don't know what a lynx is, it's a fairly large wild cat. Think bobcat, but like 4 times larger than that. And they usually hunt snowshoe hare, but they are not opposed to a little squirrel snack. And so I am holding lunch, most definitely. So I'm holding this squirrel sitting on the forest floor. This lynx is walking right towards me. It does not seem like it has any intention of slowing down or turning or doing anything. And I'm having a panic attack because I don't know what to do. And I haven't finished with my squirrel. So like just as I'm about to like try to stand up while holding the squirrel and do I don't know what, intimidate it or run away, I'm not sure. It makes like a very sharp 90-degree turn and just starts walking at the same pace away from where I am, just off into the forest. And so I'm just sitting there, squirrel in hand, dumbfounded because I just survived a lynx attack. I don't know, they're pretty docile. So yeah, and then once I came to, I finished getting the data on the squirrel and then released it and said, good luck, hope that lynx doesn't catch you, and went on to the next. But
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty harrowing. How close in distance did it get to you?
That's a great question. I mean, it felt like it was like basically in my face.
I'm sure.
Through the fear. But no, it was probably
like 20, 30 feet away, maybe? Maybe closer?
I wish I knew what 20, 30 feet was.
Okay.
Maybe like 3 or 4 meters away.
Oh, that's yeah.
It was
That's
pretty
less
close.
than 20
Yeah.
feet. That's less than 20 feet.
It was not a far distance. And I mean, I'd never seen one before that either. So I'm like freaking out because when I went back to camp and was telling everybody about it, I was like, it was like the size of a small lion. And people are like laughing at me because no, they're not the size of a small lion. But to me, it looked enormous.
Yeah.
I mean, like it looked like, and I'm sitting on the ground, so perspective is weird. But yeah, I was freaking out like super. It was probably the scariest experience one of the scariest experiences I've ever had with fieldwork. But looking back, it's not that scary because again, they're usually pretty shy. Like you typically actually don't see them very much. Like the fact that it was walking right towards me, it must have just like honed in on the scent of the squirrel and then for some reason finally realized like, oh, there's a person holding that squirrel, and then was like, just kidding. But yeah, it was super weird.
Wow.
So the story is like, thank God I'm not a feline, or I'm not a hare, because I'm not a lunch for the lynx.
Exactly, yeah. Thank God I'm not a snowshoe hare.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would have been lunch, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Casey, your final story is called Crevice Cave.
Yeah, so this is another cave fish story, and this was my second semester at UMSL, and it's not related to any project that I'm on. It was just sort of like they needed an extra set of hands, and I was available, so I was like, yeah, of course I want to go caving, I want to go see cave fish. And differently from the cave fish that we were studying in Brazil, these caves, the water is like way further away from the entrance of the cave versus in Brazil you've got these like giant cave entrances with like rivers ripping through them. These are like puddles and like just very tiny streams of water, but like super deep into the cave. And the deepest of the caves was called Crevice Cave. It was the most technical of the caves that we did, and it was the third cave I'd ever been into, so I had no technical experience. I was super gassed because I had been caving all week, and I was super tired. It was the last one we were doing, so I was like, okay, gotta lock in because this is the hard one. But you like go into the cave, and there's this like 10-foot drop. They call it an elevator shaft. Super easy to go down it because gravity's on your side. Keep that in mind for later. Just go down, there's like a series of like really small holes. We had to do like a backpack assembly line, because you couldn't fit through the hole with your backpack on. And there were a series of like close to panic attacks where I had to like make these big jumps in the dark, and I was really scared, but I did it and got all the data that we needed, and we laid the transect and we did everything we needed to do. And we're coming back, and we're back at the elevator shaft, but this time gravity is not on our side, and we have to climb our way back up. And I got my knees up to my chest, but like in this little tiny column, essentially. And my arms are shot. I have no more upper body strength. And so like, yeah, just push yourself up. Just push yourself up. Like, I can't. I can't. Like, I'm trying. I'm stuck. I'm fully stuck. I can't move my arms. I can't move my legs. And I'm just like staring at the guide that had gone out before me. And he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, what if I just handed you my hand and you just pulled me out? So these like two guys just pulled my body out of this little tiny thing. And I was like, okay, great. I'm glad you were here because I would have died otherwise. And then we had to like shuffle along the shelf, and like if you took us too far of a step back, you'd fall. And then like that wasn't even like, that's sort of how I felt like, okay, I did the hard part, and now I have to do another hard part. But now that it's been like 2 years since I've done that, I'm like, oh, no, I should try that again, because it's such a cool experience to be in a cave. You're like completely by yourself. You've turned the lights off, and it's just like the darkest dark you've ever experienced. So now that I'm like fully removed from being traumatized about like thinking I was gonna die in the cave, I'm like, okay, I want to go back. But yeah, it was pretty. You have to be pretty athletic, I found, to be a caver. So, but yeah.
So the shaft they'd climb up and down, like, was it just only one person could fit in it at a time? Okay.
Yeah, and there were like a series of like, not handholds, but like footholds. Yeah. But I must have missed one and gotten my like lower body moved up before my upper body did, like it was supposed to. But.
And there's no way they can like install like a ladder or anything. It's just like you got to climb in and out by yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how helpful the ladder would be, just because it's so narrow. Right. You like have to essentially use like your back and your butt to sort of like shimmy up and down.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how helpful the ladder would have been, but you know, that's why Missouri is the cave state, I guess. They've got pretty cool caves.
They do have cool caves.
Yeah.
All right, Raj, your third and final story is called Things That Nobody Tells You When You Decide to Become a Biologist.
Yeah, like Casey just said, you do things that you are not comfortable doing. You do things that you are not sure if you're able to do. And then you do things, right? Then you finish it up. And especially it's fun when you have a team of supporters. You have a team of people who do things along with you. Things become easier. And even if you're alone, you figure it out most of the times, right? So this makes you become a resilient person. This makes you come out with a lot of cool stories. Biologists build a lot of stories. I think that is what fills us with a lot of passion, because we have a lot of things to share from the field, especially the field biologist. And your love for biology, your love for pursuing a field biology course comes from a passion and interest of being out in the nature, and interest for care for your animals or conservation, whatever you are working with, and just love for the nature. I think that is what it comes out from. So is in my case. It doesn't come from like being super ambitious, earning a lot of money, or this is not a straight, easy career path. Biology, and there are weird things that happen. Like I have happened to be in a camp where there were a lot of leeches around, so we had to cover the camp with like apple cider vinegar or Dettol on the side, so that the leeches could not go into our tents and things like that. I had a tick in my groin once. That was my first tick ever, but thankfully in Nepal there is no Lyme disease, but I was freaked out, and my teammates were trying to help me out with what should we do, should we take it out or not. It was crazy. So many such stories. Every time I go to a field, I come up with some kind of skin rash or something on the skin. I don't know what's wrong with me, but things like that which are difficult, but you're navigating through your visa problems, you're navigating with logistics, you're working in a team, you might be comfortable doing that or not, but then you go out of your comfort zone. all the time, every time you do a field work, you're getting out of your comfort zone, you're pushing boundaries, and it is not easy, it is difficult. You're not getting the food that you like to have, you know. It's a compromise, but it builds more passion in you, it makes you super resilient, you become a problem solver, technically. Like if anybody who has a problem, they kind of shoots that question to you, believing that you will be able to solve it because you've been like that. So yeah, biology is super fun and you build a life around it.
Well said. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up all of our stories. So thank you all for sharing those. Those are very cool to listen to. And now, it is how we end every episode of the show with Outside of Science. That part of the show where we talk about things, you guessed it, outside of science, proven fact that we are not robots that work and do research 24/7. So Kylie, I would be curious to know what you've been up to. I don't have much to talk about because I've been in crunch mode to the defense. So
Okay. So you get an excuse because of that, but I don't get one after being in the field for like.
Actually, that's a good point.
5 weeks out of the last 2 months. Yeah, no, it's okay.
In the little bits of time you've scraped together.
Truly little bits of time. I mean, really, this has been like the.
We watched Pride and Prejudice. How was that?
Well, that was in the field. I mean, I guess it was outside of science. It was very good. I highly recommend if you haven't seen the 1995 Pride and Prejudice show with Colin Firth.
Okay, is it like quality TV or is it just like laughably funny? Or
no, it's quality TV. Okay. If you like that like era.
Okay.
And like the Victorian or whatever, like that era of drama.
Okay.
And like that style, if you like the movies or whatever. It's very good. Right. So yeah, it's like Bridgerton without the modern flair. So if that appeals to you. Right. But actually outside of the field, I went to go see Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man recently.
Dragging to store on that next week.
It's very good. It was very good. Yeah. We actually went and saw it just for fun in the 3D, which was pretty cool. I don't really think you need to.
Okay.
But it was fun. It was a very good movie.
I went last Sunday too. It was fun.
Everyone seems very excited.
They did a good job.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good. They did a nice job.
Nice. What have I done? Well, after the defense, we went caving, Casey.
Yeah, we did.
Your lab took yourselves, and then you invited me also, which I appreciate because that was a lot of fun. We went to
Illinois Caverns,
which is about an hour from St. Louis, and I had my first like true caving experience. I've been to Merrimack Caverns, which is like a touristy show cave. This was like, we're putting on the hard hats, we're putting on the lights, we're like wading through the water and doing all the stuff Casey's talking about. I had a great time. It was a very fun experience.
That was a really good trip. We got to see a lot of cave salamanders, which I had never seen, and we got to see a lot of those cave amphipods, which I had also never seen. So that was a really fun trip.
Yeah, that was a fun trip. And it was a good group. I was happy that we had like experienced caver people, so I could just kind of relax and like enjoy the ambient sights and everything versus like I gotta figure things out.
You guys were there for 4 hours in the cave?
I feel like we're maybe 3 inside the cave itself.
Yeah, probably 3 or 4. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a good time. And then the only other thing I've done, like the day after we did caving, is I ran my first 10K. So that was
nice.
Yeah. So I wanted to try and see how that went because I run enough where I want to see like how would that go. So yeah, it was good. I have like long-term plans to maybe do a half marathon. I know like Shelby does running. Yeah. And then Bethany, before she left, was telling me she was done running. So I need to like talk to them and be like, how do you prepare for this? Because I know I would have to actually like train. Like I can't just be like, I'm going to show up and run this half marathon.
I can do it.
From what Bethany told me, her first marathon went pretty badly. So I was like, okay, tell me what not to do.
Right. So we have a bunch of those weird little liquid carb packets in the lab in case you need some.
Okay. I don't know what those are for, but I'll
They're
inquire
for
about
energy during a marathon, apparently.
People can substitute those with nerd gummy clusters, which I've heard the packets are pretty gross. But yeah, like if you calculate like the carbs that you need per mile, I don't run a marathon, so I don't know how to do that, but I've seen people online using the Nerds gummy clusters.
Another win for the
I'm learning so much already. But that's all I've been up to.
I'm surprised how you even did that. Went caving for 3 hours, 4 hours, came to play soccer that evening with me, and 10K run the next day.
I think part of it was just mentally I've been like sitting and cooped up in a chair for like weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm like, we get to do anything that's not sitting and looking at a screen. So I was like, yes, I will go do all that physical activities.
Nice.
That's what I've been up to. So Casey or Raj?
Yeah, I mean, like every Saturday, shout out the Wulu Run Club, Women Loving Women Run Club
Nice.
in Tower Grove Park. Do that every Saturday morning. It's like a 2-mile route. So I've made like some really great friends from that, and it's like sort of the same thing. I'm not like into running. Like that's not. I wouldn't say I'm a runner, but it is nice after a whole week of just sitting and staring at my computer, going and like doing like a little social run club is super fun. Went caving, and then I saw my first St. Louis City soccer game this weekend, and that was really cool. We tied, which I guess broke the winning streak, so that was lame. But
Where were we playing?
we were playing Salt Lake City.
Okay.
Yeah, it was raining, so that I was like, this is like the elite soccer because they were running in the rain, and you could see the like water coming off the soccer
Separate
ball
the wheat from
and
the
stuff. But, yeah, it was really fun. I had a really good time. So.
I need to do that. That's been on my list.
Yeah, it's on my list too.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous because I don't like love watching soccer, at least on the TV, because it's 90 minutes and that feels like a really long time to watch people run around. But it didn't feel that long. I was like, oh, it's over. This is
You
crazy.
get engulfed in the hype.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. They have like these fire gun things that blast off, and it was cold and rainy, so that warmed you up. So
Interesting.
yeah.
They like always are blasting out,
No,
or just like when they
like
score?
they're like, and the team's coming out, poof, and then these like fire
And
things
you're like-
come out. Yeah.
warmed by the fire.
Yeah, but that was pretty fun.
Yeah, World Cup was the other way. I really loved watching the World Cup.
Yeah.
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 Every time the World Cup happens, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch more soccer, and then I immediately just like fall off. And I'm like, no, this year I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I feel like this was one of the worst years for it to happen because of all the the dissertation write-up and prepping.
I know.
Like, I have to do anything except for watch this.
I know, I missed all the final games because I was in the field,
Yeah.
and Diego was like texting me
Yeah.
updates, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I was thankful I got to go to the one game, the very final
The
game I got
final
to watch
one.
with you guys. So
Wow.
that was nice.
Yeah, I wanted to go to the watch party, but just made it to the final game for the watch party. Jeremy, my family and friends went to Anheuser-Busch
Oh, nice.
watch party. Yeah,
It was cool.
yeah. That was one thing for me.
Yeah.
I watched the World Cup, a few games, at least the last few games I did not miss. But my brother and his family were here, and I have a super cute nephew,
Aw.
and we spent time with him. And that was the last 2.5 weeks they were here spending time with us. And we did a few things here and there. We went to the St. Louis City Museum, and that surprised me actually. A few things that surprised me very much, and the City Museum did surprise me. I was surprised. There's this huge building, and there are so many slides inside built on it, and you can do all of these weird, scary things like going through a metal cage and things like that, and then caving inside the building. That was super fun.
Yeah,
Super fun.
it's quite a unique experience. From reviews online, most people are like, "This is a really cool experience. It's like a unique version of art." And then there's a couple of reviews that are like, "It's a death trap."
And you're like, that just makes me want to go more.
Yeah. So
Yeah. A few things that I always look forward to are the Friday or a Thursday soccer game that we put together for UMSL community, and Netflix, the biology, and folks. Everybody comes in and plays soccer. It's pretty simple. It's not too competitive. It's just like we're having fun doing our cardio.
except for that 1 week I wasn't there, you told me it was super competitive.
For that 1 week where my brother came in, and he's super
Sibling
competitive
rivalry.
also. Yeah. We played from the same team. But yeah, that's one thing that I always look forward to. But then watch Spider-Man, watch the World Cup, City Museum, soccer every week. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a good summer.
Yeah.
Minus all the writing I had to do. But yeah, it's been a good summer. All right, anything else as we wrap up Outside of Science in the show?
Thanks for a great show.
Yeah. All right, that's going to wrap up another episode of That Science and Nature Show. Thank you so much all out there in listener land for listening. Thank you to Ray for bringing his podcast equipment and letting us record outside the UMSL radio studio. If you like the show, recommend it to 2 friends. Helps us out. And you can get this episode wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you to Kiley, Casey, and Raj for coming on and sharing all their stories. I greatly appreciate you guys taking the time. And that's going to wrap up this season. I'm not sure when the next season's going to start. I have plans, but my life is a little all over the place right now, so I'll figure that out. There will most likely be more That Science and Nature Show. But until that happens, you've been listening to That Science and Nature Show. My name is Dr. Jeremy Howard, and we are out.
Nice.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Nice.